So, dear brothers and sisters, this is the last Mass for our Be Healed retreat. So it has been wonderful to be with you for these last couple of days. I remember once I visited a Legion of Mary meeting. The Legion do great work around the country and indeed around the world. They're a wonderful organisation with many, many wonderful people. And during the Legion meeting, one of the parts of the meeting is that you report on the work that you were assigned for that week. So maybe your work was to visit some people or to do a collection for some worthy charity or different things like that. There might have been to volunteer to help at a fundraiser or something like that. Okay. What was interesting though was ordinarily you're assigned one job, if you will, by the group in the Legion, or there might be a thing that falls naturally into your basket. If, for example, if you have the job anyway of distributing newspapers, and then you can add Catholic flyers, or something like that. So sometimes people's jobs are fairly automatic. Okay. What was interesting though was one lady said, "So what I do this week?" Well, this week I did an hour of adoration on Monday, did 2 hours of adoration on Tuesday, did an hour and a half of adoration on Wednesday. And she went through the whole week, and then I did Divine Mercy Chaplet, and she listed out all the days she did Divine Mercy Chaplet, and I prayed the Angelus then on all them days as well. And then I visited this person, that person, the other person, and I read the Irish Catholic from cover to cover. And I've just started Father Mike Schmitz's Bible in a year, so I'm 3 days, 4 days, 10 days into that, and that's what I did for this week. And then the what do they call, the president of the group said, thanks very much, Mary, that's very good. And Josephine, how did you get on? Well, I did adoration as well on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. I couldn't go on Thursday because of the doctor's appointment, but I did 2 hours on Friday, and then I prayed the Angelus as well. And I started the Bible in a year as well. And the catechism in a year. And then the other lady said, "Oh yeah, well, I was going to start that as well. I'm going to start that next week." And I was sitting there going, "Are ye serious?" Thinking to myself, you were assigned one job, report on that. This isn't a boasting moment for all the holy stuff you've done during the week. Cut it out. And there was then the third lady, again, mentioned something that the first lady had forgotten that she had done as well. And then she starts jumping in again. Stop. Cut it out. Are you doing this for the glory of God or what? In the Catechism, in Catholic moral teaching, whenever we look at a moral action, there are three aspects to any moral action. So three kind of categories that we use to judge whether a moral action is good or bad. Okay? The first category is what's called the object. So the action itself. The action itself. Is it okay to kill someone? Well, no. Really, no, it's not. Okay, so that action would be bad. Okay, so that action is unacceptable. Okay, but then along with the action, we have the intention behind the action. So, say for example, and I mentioned this to those on retreat here as well, that you can just imagine some. Forgive me that I use a lady as this example, but I have seen this kind of thing, where a lady will come over and say, "Oh, hello now, Grace, you're looking great, you're wonderful now, your hair is lovely, lovely eyebrows, lovely earrings, I love the way the earrings now match the ensemble, it's lovely now, lovely ears, your ears are wonderfully symmetrical, and your earlobes, wonderful earlobes," and then they look a little further and go, "And hello, Mary." Right? Now, what just happened there? What was her action? The lady's action was to compliment Grace. What was her intention? To cut the nose off Mary. But how do you do it? You do it by being nice to someone else in their presence and make sure they know that you're being nice to them, but not to them. So the object is one thing, but then the intention is also important. And then along with the object and intention, the third criteria is the circumstances. So sometimes exceptional circumstances make certain actions okay. For example, is it okay to stab someone? No. Generally speaking, no. What if your intention is to save their life? How could that work? Well, if a person is choking and you have a Bic biro, if you're a nurse and you've done this before, don't practice this, right? But if you tracheoscopy, is that what it's called? If you've done this before, if you put a Bic biro in the right place there, a person can actually breathe through it if their throat is blocked. I don't recommend you do this, but in that circumstance, stabbing someone in the throat would actually be okay, because it's saving their life. Your intention is to save their life, and the circumstances are they are presently dying. So those are the three things that we look at: the object, the intention, and the circumstances. Now, if the object is bad, regardless of what your intention was, and regardless of the circumstances, the action is bad. So rape is always bad. There's no set of intentions or circumstances that can make that okay. Like just plain good old-fashioned murder, there's no set of intention or circumstances that makes that okay. Self-defense is one thing. We don't have to actually murder someone. You can always shoot them in the leg. But okay, we won't get lost in detail. Okay. When it comes to our daily lives, though, most of what we do isn't necessarily a choice between good and evil. It's a choice between good and lesser good. And this is what makes it more difficult for us to recognize when we're going wrong. Because, again, it's like if Satan were to appear to you and say, "Don't go to Mass, come sacrifice a cat to me instead." You'd say, "That's disgusting. I'm going to Mass." Right? Whereas if he were to say, "Don't go to Mass. Go to Mass tomorrow. Or go to Mass maybe later. You've worked hard. You've put in a hard week of work. And you've done a lot of good things. You've helped a lot of people during the week. And you're going to volunteer now. Maybe actually sign up for the under-12s GAA, the local hurling team, and coach them on a Sunday morning. Them kids, they need a bit of help too." You see the difference? Tempting you to be a Satanist probably won't work because it's too obvious. But tempting you to do something else that's good, but a lesser good on a Sunday morning or during Mass time, is far more effective. Because you go, yeah. Because again, you can still believe that you're a good person because you're doing good things. Yes, you are doing good things. Are you doing what God asked of you? And are you doing not just good things, but the best things? Is it a good thing for a father to do an awful lot of overtime in order to have a high standard of living for his family? Kind of, but maybe what his kids need is actually him to go kick a football around with them, especially in their young years when they're grown up. Maybe they just need dad to be present, not to be earning loads of money. So that's why for us to work out what the greatest good is, or it's not as easy as it may seem. So that's why what Jesus is talking about here in this gospel. The Pharisees were just stuck on the externals, the object. If the object is good, everything else is fine. It's not that easy. Because if you're in, say for example, is praying good? Yes, of course. What if you're just praying to look better than someone else? When you see someone else is praying and they're sitting down praying, and you go, "They're sitting down. Oh, I'm going to kneel down." They're kneeling down. Okay, I'm going to kneel down, look even holier. Tilting your head slightly to the right makes you look very holy, just so you know. And so your intention while praying isn't actually to glorify God, but it's to look holier than them. And very subtly, we can do things like that. Or even that's probably maybe a less common example. These days, we tend to look more at I do some good things. For example, I recycle, or I try to keep fit, or I drive a hybrid car. Wonderful. Aren't you amazing? I'm sure Jesus is really happy with that. So you do that, and because I do these certain good things, sure, drinking a little too much on occasion, who gets hurt really? At the end of the day, sure. No one died. So I've done certain good things, so that can kind of mask the fact that there are other things that aren't so good. But the difficulty is, you see, if we judge our lives, or indeed other people's lives, just by what we see, just by the objects, we're going to run into serious problems. Because the scribes and Pharisees, so the priests of Jesus' time, they had the externals perfect. Even the clothes they would wear, the liturgies, everything, how everything worked, and how everything, the various traditions of washing dishes and washing yourself and sprinkling yourself, and certain dishes that you could use and couldn't use. And then there were all sorts of extra rules that were added. Like, for example, on a Sabbath, you were only allowed to travel a certain distance. It was called a Sabbath walk. I don't know what the distance was, but it wasn't very far. So if you needed to go to the well, or if you needed to go, well, no, you couldn't go to the well, actually. You couldn't carry water. Carrying water was considered work. But if you needed to go somewhere, home or whatever it was, you could travel the distance of a Sabbath walk. But if you were in the middle of a lake, you were obviously allowed to travel back to shore. So if you're traveling on water, you can travel as far as you want. So what would people do? Fill a bag full of water, put it on their donkey, and then travel as far as they wanted. Because I'm traveling on water. So I didn't break the rules. What's the problem? You're judging me? So what's the intention here? What's the intention? The intention. And this is what Jesus wants to get back to. This people offers me with lip service only. When we go to Mass, what's the Lord asking of us? Just to turn up and tick the box? To come to this thing because it's part of our faith and receive the Catholic cookie and go home? What's he asking of us? What does he want us to do? Why does he ask us to do this? This is a serious thing. This is one of the commandments. Keep holy the Sabbath day, which for us means attend Mass. So why is this so important to him? This is important because this makes us, we remember what the Lord has done, that we may be remembered, that we may become members again, that this reality that we're members of Christ's mystical body can be renewed and restored and revived. That the body, blood, soul, and divinity that I receive is the same body, blood, soul, and divinity that flows through all of our veins. We're united as one body. This is important to him. So any other actions, good as they may look, are never as important as this. On the weekend, to attend Mass, to do what the Lord has asked us to do. And any other word or any other opinion or any other good thing that we can do will never be as good as this. This is what the Lord has asked us to do. And it's not enough to have good intentions by doing other things. The Lord has asked us to do this. And he was very clear with the scribes and Pharisees, to just tick the external boxes is not enough. And then coming here to Mass on its own, just as a physical presence, that's not enough. I'm sorry to even raise the bar even higher. But it's not enough. It's not enough just to be physically present. What's your intention while you're here? So you've done the action, okay? You've done the object is good. You've turned up. You've parked your car nice and parallel within the lines, okay? Because you're a good person. And you've come in and you're here in the church. Okay, good. Now, what's the intention? What do you want to give? What do you want to receive? Why are you here? If I come to Mass and I want to give the Lord my heart, I want to give the Lord maybe my sadness, my brokenness, my intentions. I want to give the Lord all that weighs me down. I want to give the Lord my weaknesses, the things I struggle with. And I want to receive from him his blessing. I want him to carry me through these difficulties. And because of that, I'm listening to what his word says. And then I receive him in Holy Communion and draw from that grace for all of the battles that I will have to face as soon as I get back into my parallel parked car. There'll be battles out there. Maybe as soon as you, after Mass, you open the phone and then there's someone giving out to you, or some news that isn't positive or cuts you to the, there'll be some difficulty you have to face. Draw from the strength of the Eucharist. Draw from the fact that the Lord lives in you. So the Lord has such wonderful plans for us. And what he asks of us is, relatively speaking, very, very little. Our faith doesn't give us boasting rights. Coming to Mass it's a pure privilege. It's a privilege. And then what he offers us is literally out of this world. So let's keep it simple. Let's do what the Lord asked. Let's worship him as he has asked to be worshipped, in the way that the church teaches. We may have other opinions, we may have other ways of worshiping. By all means, go to adoration. By all means, pray. By all means, go for walks in the forest. These are all good things as well, not a substitute for Mass. They're good things to do, fantastic. But as I say, the harder decisions we have to make aren't necessarily between good and evil. They're between good and better, or good and best. And the best will always be what the Lord is asking you to do. That's always best. So we ask the Lord today to renew our faith in the beauty of Holy Mass and the grace of Holy Mass. That the Lord may deepen our faith, that he may draw us back around the table, the family table, so that in doing so, he may draw us back home to him forever in heaven. Amen.